So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, whoever is joining from any part of the world. Welcome to the Rise World Summit 24, 11th Rise World Summit 2024, I meant to say. So, today we have the pleasure of diving into the filmmaking with our brilliant director of the short film Sunto, Gavin Methalaka. So, Gavin, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, for those who may not be familiar with Sunto, and before we go there, to understand the captivating short film, Gavin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, when we have to, when this entire discussion is going to be around that movie, I think we should first see, what the short film is trying to say. So this captivating short films that delves into the emotive world of the men struggling to express themselves through mime. Today we have Gavin Methalaka here to share the
Gavin
insight.
Methalaka. It's Gavin Methalaka.
Methalaka, okay. To share the insights into this inspiration, challenges, and the creative process behind this unique exploration of emotion. I would like to, ask Gavin only to give little bit about himself and the journey that you led to create Sunto. If you can tell us in a minute, that will help our audience to know more about you.
Sure. This is my debut film. Sunto is a debut film that I've written, directed. It is a film in making or in the thought process for the last 5-6 years. The two actors in the film are not commercial actors. They are teachers and improv artists by themselves. One, Drupad is my mime teacher from school, and Pranab is a PWD officer from Assam. They meet annually to perform mime together across India. And this story was created keeping both of their chemistry in mind, because they know each other, they understand each other, they know each other's ups and downs. So the story plays on the fact that in every relationship there are problems, and men understand. But how do you convey something without conveying anything? And so the whole film is derived from the chemistry of the film. And so my background is I'm a theater and Bollywood professional, where I've been an actor for the last 13 years. I've been performing, teaching improv for the last 8 years, and a voiceover artist as well. So that's basically where I come from. This is a debut film, an absolute. A lot of friends have come together, making this film happen. Shout out to Paro and her friends, and a lot of friends.
A lot of people
who have crowd-funded this film. They have not supported; they have crowd-funded. This film, my first film, is a crowd-funded film, and I'm really, 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 really grateful that they believed in me and helped put this film together.
That's wonderful. That's always said that nothing can go through without the teamwork, and I'm sure and trust that you have a best team behind you to make this possible. Your dream of becoming a director, and I hope you get more accolades for this film. But understanding from you that these two men in your life, which are mine artists, also one of the inspiring thing for you to do this, or maybe the story revolved around like that. But if you can share a little bit of the inspiration that you actually got this behind creating Sunto, and your motivation for exploring men's emotion, why you thought that my debut film and my directorial debut film will be around this kind of medium. Was there is a thought process behind, or it was just like it's a spur of moment, I have to do this? What was it? You're on mute, Gavin.
Oh, sorry. So the idea is inspired from real life. It's inspired from the fact that we are not able to communicate. Men are not able to communicate at a time of intense pressure. Like when men go through something, they're not able to communicate. Hence, the film starts with the fact that when men open their mouth, they're hearing the problems for the first time. that they've been going for such a long time. We men are not able to tell our problems or articulate our problems. We hope somebody understands, and we're just so frustrated and pissed off that we don't want to uh, uh, hurt somebody. We don't want to go to that extent. So men do not know when to stop and how to articulate.
Yeah, but matlab, I can also relate to the the men that I have in my life, my brother, my father, my husband, my own son. Like they also have these things. Okay, I feel like, why are you not talking? Why you're not saying things that you have to say? There should not be any. But I understand how this become an important topic. When I spoke with you first time, I did not realize, what will be the depth of this, line of men is not able to portray their emotions. And if I have to take the liberty of sharing one story from my life, so just in maybe 30 seconds, that I had some incident in my life where I was like gone up and come down. And then afterwards, like after my 36 hours of struggle in the hospital, and when I came into the consciousness, the people, my family came and told me, my husband, like his name is Ratnaka, was not able to speak anything because at 36 hours of turmoil, he was not able to put it into the words. He was not able to say anything. He was just doing, and he was just lost in the old world. And though you have a family, though you have people, I can relate to this fact that it becomes difficult for the men to say that what they want to say. They will say many things. They will share everything. They will have great friends. They will have, but when it comes to the internal feeling, it takes time for them to come out and say. So thank you for choosing the topic, and that takes us to the next question that I want to have this in my head, that one of the distinctive aspect of Sunto is portrayal of complex emotions without using words. Now, how did you approach the challenge of convening the nuances, the feeling in a silent format? Because and what considerations did you keep in mind during the creative process?
Um, to start off, my limitations were that this film was shot in one day. This film was shot in one day. The prep day. This film is shot in one day, and the prep time for this film was one day. So my actors were flown down from Pondi and Assam because these are, and I had to work around the fact that these people are working professionals. I had to fly them down from their respective residence and places and come down to Bombay, where I had a team where they had where they made sure that everything sits and works together. So this story, the only thing I had in mind was the story. I had the story for the last 5 6 years. I developed. I spoke about it with Drupad sir, and so I perform and teach improv. So I try to use improv in the storytelling, and mime is something where these are two actors who are talking to each other. These two artists. So it is me in a green room at a pinnacle point of time because a lot what happens to us men is that when we're about to do something very important, if something comes and touches us, like something
Yeah.
comes and provokes us at the very wrong time, and we do not know what to do. We do not know how to address it, and it really it's a test of our patience. It's our anger. It's our whatever it is, whatever it is. I mean, it's a test of our patience. So, and now I know. So Drupad is a person who holds principles and honor and everything in real life. To he holds it on a very high pedestal. And Hiru or Pranab is a very emotional guy. So basically, what you're seeing there are two people who are playing themselves in a very fictional in a fictional emotion, trying to be something that they've never been journeyed through before. The only thing that they have is familiarity.
Nothing. That's the point that you made, that's you might get inspiration at the wrong time, or you might get some trigger at the wrong time, but how you put that things into a proper connotation and make it happen, that's also a courage that I guess you and your team has put forward, basically believing in the process and believing in that thought that come to your mind, no, this is the thing that I want to make. So kudos to you, Gavin, that you
Thank you.
see, there are many thoughts that comes to our mind and many things that we say, ideas, ki, oh, this is the something that I want to make. But making that happen is real, victory. Now, when I was watching this film, as I said earlier also, I watched it earlier, but I have not gone towards the end, and I think I did the best job not going at the end. But now considering that once it is open for the people, on a larger scale, what do you hope viewers will take away from Sunto in terms of understanding the main struggles with the self-expression, and what kind of impact do you anticipate the film having on its audience? Would they internalize and think, oh, I'm talking as a, maybe a women perspective. Do you think that they will start thinking differently after watching the film?
If they start thinking differently or making changes about their life or their anything, my absolute job is done. because
True.
because if I have provoked a thought, any thought, that could change anything for the good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
even a minute thought, my job is done as a debut film. Like I've been able to tell a story that makes somebody be like, oh. And hence the whole section of the mime section where conversations have people have been these two characters are speaking in mime. It is open to your assumption what they're speaking.
Correct,
It is
correct.
open to absolute. So and people are very very adamant on what they assume.
True.
I assumed this because you made me assume this. But the point is, assume. You assumed it, and which
Yeah,
you
and
assumed.
we
I
have not
gave you
forced
like,
you to assume.
yeah, you assumed it. No, but you made me assume. I saw something and I assumed it. I'm like, okay, so you assumed it. I did not force feed it to you.
Correct. So that's
It
their
is also like
perception.
media. It's yes, it's their perception. Hence, I gave them a starting, I gave them an ending. What happened in the middle? Put your puzzle together.
Yeah, and that exactly actually we are trying to do through this conversation is articulation of all the assumption that will come out through this, movie. For me, it was see, I'm telling you genuinely, Gavin, when this entire thing we started preparing about this fireside chat, I was really clueless that what I'm going to ask you. What are the things that will come to mind? But incidentally, when I sat for writing, and I think that I was able to think what must be going on Gavin's head, or what must be the thought process that he's trying. So that is also an assumption that I made on the basis which this fireside chat happening for Sunto. But that takes me to the next question, Gavin, that you know we have a lot of this cinematic influences, right, in our life. If there are specific artistic or cinematic influences that played a role in shaping this visual storytelling, and I love storytelling, but this visual storytelling of Sunto. So, where are the specific or cinematic influences you think, or any particular director or film or style which inspired, your approach? If
Hmm.
you want to shed light on that fact.
Uh, being somebody from theater, I wanted to make sure I wanted to have a place where I I uh, I have prepped so many times for my theater plays and also hence the green room. There is a point in the film where it goes from 16 by 9 to 4 by 3 in an aspect ratio. Is something that I really love the idea when we are changing the narrative from a modern to a flashback idea. And this was, I think, a shot that I was inspired by. when they were making the Marvel show or the Marvel TV series about the Scarlet Witch. So in that, when they were telling over the journeys of how Scarlet Witch in different eras, they had this whole
Mm-hmm.
change of aspect ratio, which kind of, I'm like, wow, this is
Wow.
nice, it's interesting. I the other aspect is a little bit of the Wachowski brothers, where um, watching something through the screen.
Mm.
So when it comes down to the Matrix or something like that, you see somebody going, the camera going through the screen and
Yeah.
and 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 coming back through the mirror. So my idea wasn't directly derived, but was very inspired by the fact that the mirror is us. We are the mirror, and we are watching them. So they're reacting to us,
Us.
which is the the meta thought that acting is a reflection of society. So this
True
one
that.
goes the exact opposite. So we are the reflection of acting. So we
True,
are
true,
that guy.
true.
So
Yeah.
it was
So
kind of that whole, I want to show the people that we are coming from you, and we are your reflection.
and this is amongst us. It's just that cinema became the media of expression, People think that most of the time that this is also perceived since my childhood. Don't watch this, you will get the wrong signal. But this is coming from the society. This is coming from
Hmm,
the general psychology that people are having in the society. So the point that you made is, I can relate to that. That we like it's a mirror. So whatever is
hmm,
happening, it is somewhere it is happening. It
hmm,
might not be in front of you, but it
hmm,
is there. It is there happening in the world. So even if it's a very broad topic of men's emotion, but it is happening inside your house. It
hmm,
is it's very. So one of my colleague actually messaged me that this conversation is going good and ये बहुत important topic है दी, because he's from Uttarakhand and he just messaged me just now. I was watching. So thanks. I'm just shouting out for him. Yes, thank you so much for giving us that feedback immediately. We are doing the right thing right now. The next question, which relates to the, conveying the emotions. Now, when we are conveying the emotions solely through mime, it requires, very unique collaboration between the director and actor. You said in the previous conversation that you are kind of from the theater, you knew the nuances, but still, if you can share the insight into how you worked with the actors to bring out such nuanced emotions, because if you see that mime is something, if you remember our own conversation, I told you that one of my friend Kunal is also a mime artist, and the mime was introduced by him to me. I was not aware of it. Because there is behind something going on. So, if when I used to watch his shows or when I watched this, I think mime is a very difficult art, and to make people aware of the emotion that is happening over this. It's very
hmm,
difficult because there is already a kind of white paint is already there on your face, and they are portraying so many emotions at a time. This is my own feeling. So if you can share insights into how you worked with the actors to bring out these emotions, and perhaps share any interesting anecdotes from the set. I know that you said it is a
hmm.
1 day short film, but there will be a prep time on the phone or something that must be happening.
Yes. Prepping. Uh, Before they ever came down to Bombay, all I had was Zoom calls. Like I had one or two Zoom calls, but I don't want to force feed my actors what to do or what not to do. There's a huge misconception that is common with improv and mime.
Hmm.
So that mime and improv is only for comedy. So
Hmm.
somebody does mime only, अरे और किसी को हंसाना है ना तो माइम करते हैं, हाँ अरे देखो I'm in a glass box, or oh my god, see I was a flower. So and improv is also associated a lot with comedy.
Hmm.
Now uh, it is a very conscious decision to take away, to keep mime and improv away from comedy and say no, it is theater, it
Hmm.
is a tool to perform an artistic form. It is
Hmm.
so. So when it came to the day of shoot, my 2 days of prep, 1 day of prep and 1 day of shoot, is ideally telling them this is this is what the scenario is.
Hmm.
आपको कहानी पता है. I'm not going to tell you what to do. There is inside you there is an emotion. Just bring it out. I'm going to take you there to a place. You fly solo, and then after that I'll help you land. इतना ही
Hmm.
करना है आपको. And my whole dependency um, was on the chemistry that these two people have will bring in the scene.
Hmm.
And by the
Hmm.
time you sing the film is ideally the fourth or fifth take, where by this time Drupad is already irritated with Pranav. So this was I think this is the fifth take that we had shot, and Drupad was already irritated with Pranav. He was partially irritated with me because the set was created that way. We shot in somebody's flat and in my friend Paro's flat, and the way we set up and darkened the room and made it very, very like focused and including that frame, and then they had lights in their face. And my cinematographer Gaurang, uh, I frustrated him as well. I'm like, no, I want this dolly. I mean, मतलब मुझे को यही चाहिए. No, then I have to get another trolley. Then get it. I don't care, get it.
Hmm.
Then even my sound guy, he's like, मैं करता हूँ, मैं करता हूँ, मैं करता हूँ, मैं करता हूँ. So I had everybody was hands on, like Adrian was on hands and Sony was on hands. My line producer, my sound guy was on hands. So everybody, it was very close, very small crew, but everybody was hands on creating everything. And
Hmm.
I personally get angry very fast. So, but I have to be constrained because a lot of them are favors. I'm like, I can't afford to pay for their services, so I have to behave myself. But how do I I'm pissed
Keep
off,
the
but
sanity.
mm, keep your sanity. Just the main goal is the film. Do the
Yes.
film. The idea is the film. Let's do the film. So it that was a lot of teaching for me as well. So so to how to work in a pressure situation in a very short span of time with equipment coming in, and you know just working in a scenario that you are not really prepared for.
Yes.
And one of my
Anything can
favorite and
happen.
yeah, one of my favorite parts of that film is something that came out really beautifully. So Drupad's complaint is in real life whenever they do their shows, Pranav takes a minimum of half an hour putting on his makeup, which goes on to an hour minimum. I mean, he says जो भी करना है कर लो,
Hmm.
पर मेरा मेकअप आधे घंटे के अंदर नहीं तो 1 घंटे के अंदर हो जाएगा.
Hmm.
उसके बाद शो करते मुझे इतना टाइम चाहिए.
Hmm.
And Drupad at the end of the shoot is like, Gavin, I've never seen Pranav change his makeup so many times in half an hour. So after every shot, Pranav had to go, wipe his face, come back, reset, and sit down in 10 minutes. So in half an hour, Pranav had to remove his makeup, put his makeup back on in the scene, and still emote, and then still be frustrated. So it kind of all worked in the process of my storytelling, where frustration came to a point, and then it took away somewhere else.
Mellow down.
I didn't have to give my actors any instructions other than take the story there, take off, fly solo, and land. That fly solo part they did.
Lovely. That means you are somebody who believes in giving liberty and freedom of
Oh yeah, yeah,
expression.
yeah, yeah.
Because we have seen so many stories of so many directors around wherever we listen to different interviews. But I guess bringing out the creative expression, it is best to give the liberty, best to make them understand what you want as a director, be clear about your goal, and then maybe the process follows, seamlessly. So thank you for sharing with so many, anecdotes and the things that happened. Now, when we talk about this interesting title, Sunto, I also remember when the first thing I asked you, what is the title? And you said Sunto. And I said, bas, nahi title hai, Sunto. And the two words, and when you see, hear Sunto, there are different different perspectives that can, generate only with the two words. And it has also been said that if you choose your words properly and you understand the gravity and depth of the each word that you're using, everything, goes really well. So I guess your title also make a very, it's a very significant title for this. So this title Sunto is very intriguing. Can you shed, light or something to, on its significance and how it ties into the film's theme? I understand you're trying to make people listen to something, but still, I would like to know if there is any particular thing that has gone beyond what I'm assuming. So it's articulation of our assumptions.
Uh,
I'm trying to do that.
so the idea stemmed from communication.
Okay.
Uh, Sunto can be said many different ways, like Sunto or
Yeah.
Sunto.
Ah.
So even if we say fu, there are many ways of saying it. Like Osho says it. Like there are
Yeah.
many ways of saying fu. The Sunto, and there are very different ways of saying Sunto. Like
Yeah.
it's a request, it's a demand,
Command.
it's a command. It's so many things. So, but the point is, I did not use any of those ideas in the film. The point was a mime. You can't hear shit, but you're hearing with your eyes in this. What is he trying to? What is he trying to say? You're trying to listen. Second, the fact that nobody listened in the film.
True.
Pranab was trying to talk. Drupad didn't hear him out. His wife was trying to call him. He didn't hear her.
Correct. It's ironic.
It's ironic. If Drupad had ever heard Pranab in the beginning, he would have never come back to this. Communication.
True.
Just hear me out. It is every time we do it with our family, with our friends, we assume that we already know what you're going to say. we already know. हाँ तुम ये कहने वाले हो ना कि ये नहीं गंभीरता को समझो यार. Allow me to express myself. No, I know what you're going to say. Don't waste my time. I'm like, no, it's not wasting your time. But my time might be wasteful for you, but it's important to me. That's why I'm saying it ना. तो फिजूल की मैं क्यों बात करूं?
True.
It makes no sense for me to just yap. So hear me out. Hear me out. Please hear me out.
Actually, when we translate that to English, from Hindi to English, suddenly there is some change that happens, I believe. When we say in Hindi, sun to, meri baat to sun, so maybe that is like, taken thoda lightly, but as soon as I will say, please hear me out. You are making that person understand you really want to say something. And I agree to this part where people jump into the conclusion and say, I know what you want to speak. And I agree to the part that you have to allow a person to express completely. Don't break their statements. Let them finish what they want to say. And these are some hidden things in your short films. Yeah, this short film basically. That if I have to watch it again, if I'm going to watch it with my family now, because I have the link, if I'm going to watch it with the family now, maybe I will have some different perspective from my 7-year-old child, So perspective changes as the, age changes, what experience you have. But definitely one thing remains the same, that, and this is for everybody who is going to listen to this, that please listen to that person. It may be your parents, family, and be in that moment, live in that moment. Just don't tell them, so hear me out. And if you're hearing, be present in that moment. Oh, बहुत philosophical. Okay. So after we are having such a beautiful conversation around this one short film, and I'm just loving this fact. Now, when we talk about, in today's society, how important do you think it is for men to find alternative means like mine to express their emotions? And what do you think in such creative outlets, offer in terms of emotional expression. So I'm not hinting that every person will start doing mime. What I'm trying to say is, mime becomes a very, as I said earlier also, mime is a very, at such it's a difficult art for a person to understand also. But when I'm talking mime also, I'm going back to the Pushkar era. If you remember the movie, it was very silent movie. And when I first watched, I was very small there. And there were so many things happened, no dialogue, no dialogue. So there are two parts that I'm trying to ask here. When you're, when you're showcasing this film and when you're trying that people will make assumption on this film or people will understand the films and, have their own perception about this film. But when you were having this creative process, what was your thought? Like, will there be any different thing that will happen for men? Will the men will also start taking it differently? When you are projecting that it's very difficult part for men to express their emotion in the way that they want to, will this film also motivate them to speak? Speak their head, speak their heart.
The idea, this film is a result for me not being able to speak my heart.
Ah.
So because I couldn't express myself in the way that I wanted to express, from maybe some the assumption that the person in the front might not understand me, why do I waste my time? I've
Mm.
because and it also come back from the fact that when men have gone to tell somebody their problems, either they are
Mm.
charged for it or either they are अरे हो जाएगा छोड़ो छोड़ो यार. We are
Mm.
men are expected to let it go. छोड़ यार छोड़ यार. You love your friend said छोड़ यार आजा एक ड्रिंक पी लेते हैं. आजा एक सुट्टा मारते हैं.
Mm.
छोड़ना like chuck it. I mean it's not worth
जाने
your
दो.
time. Don't think. जाने दो. अबे and a lot of people say it's patriarchal or it's, it's masochistic or like अरे औरत है यार जाने दो उसका काम वही है. Like so they're not address the fact that what the woman did for him to react this way. How did it affect him?
Mm.
There are a lot of domestic violence happening at home where nobody wants to hear the guy out.
Mm.
Nobody, like
Because there is
everybody
a stigma
say, "Yeah,
attached to also.
yeah." Like me personally, I was laughed at when I used to cry. So when I used to be small, I lost my father when I was 20. So whenever I used to have any problem or cry or frustrate, um, uh, I was laughed at. I was made fun of when I used to cry. So over the years, okay, I've Bombay as my friends, man, and everybody, my support system, um, carved me into the person I am right now. Okay, I'm still a very angry person, but I'm a very controlled-ish person, or like to believe so. I'm less aggressive. The I'm not expecting men like it's not easy for men to go around and talk about it. It's not because बचपन से कहा गया है, यार तुम मर्द हो रोना बंद करो औरतों की तरफ रोना बंद करो चलो जाओ काम करो. Another side where being like okay, you're feeling this, let's let's uh, let's get back to it, but they never get back to it because men like to suppress it or let it go. By default, there is a lot of conversations, no, when men and women talk, women just want to be listened to. Women just want to be listened to. No, I don't want you to solve my problem. Just listen to me. I
Listen
have
to
this thing I want to. Listen to me. No, the man is expected to listen.
outlet.
But what does a man do? A man tries to problem solve it
Mm.
because
That
by default he's a problem solver.
that people that also the society and the person also believes that I'm the problem solver. He also
Huh?
needs to think that he can be suffering from a problem, that he also need a solution, and for that he needs to speak it out and have an outlet for that.
Yeah. So he problem solves it. I've solved your problem. That means I've solved my problem of knowing that I'm worth something. I'm
So
I'm
complex.
worth something to do. Yeah, it is. No, the amount of support system out there for man
Mm.
is little. is absolutely little. The
Mm.
biggest, iconic figures of the world are men, and the most horrific figures of the world are men because nobody heard them out. Nobody
Mm.
heard them out.
Or, see, one point you're right, but I'm also trying to say is there is also facade of making, that they keep their image. They're very image conscious also. Like if I do like this, if I start crying, how other man will perceive. If I speak like this, what my friends will say. If I'm doing this, so it's very image conscious thing. And I'm not saying it is only for men, it is also for women. But at least women will like la da 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 da. So it continues to that, thing. And it doesn't happen with the men. So whoever is going to listen a man who is saying that, no, please make.
Because we have been, sorry, because they've been ostracized for behaving, for expressing their emotions. The last time they expressed their emotions, they were made fun of.
Yeah.
They were judged for it. He
So
was a
exactly what
CC.
I'm trying to say. So though I'm not introduced, but I kind of do facilitation, and there I always say that everybody who comes, the problems are different. The one thing remains always same, that how you see yourself. If you are not understanding your own self, it becomes very difficult for other people to make you understand what you think, because you need to first understand your emotions very clearly, and there only the things goes very wrong, because you are understanding your emotions through somebody else's lens, and it should not happen. You should sit down, ask 10,000 questions to yourself, and give the honest, brutally honest answer to yourself. And I think there some things have really get sorted, out that in the conversation that you have with me. And there also I will say sunto. So you have to tell this to yourself. Are sunto khud ka to sun. Forget about you telling others. First, you listen to yourself, what you're trying to say. I guess, we are also having only few minutes left, and it's a very interesting conversation. Maybe sometimes we can pick up into more detailing of it. But moving to my, next question. Now, this is a short film, very short film, but giving a very powerful message. So, how do you see the role of short films like Sunto in raising awareness and speaking conversations about mental health and emotional expression? That we exactly had a conversation 1 minute before, that it's a turmoil of emotions. It's like so much of thing is there, it's not getting drained. So, what is your take on it?
I would, the point is to just tell your story. Because it's a short story, if somebody thinks there's a value in the story, it's easily shareable.
Hmm.
And if a and if I, it's just a story that is shareable about two people who can't say shit, who can't express themselves, who overthink. We men look for validation, regardless of the reality, the multiple reality checks that we get a lot of reality checks, but we do not get enough validation for the people we are or for the things we do. And I think that is what we men are looking for. Chota sa, like, even for the small minutest things, say thank you or please and all. And it, trust me, it makes a whole difference when, for a guy, your P's
True.
and Q's don't only work for the opposite gender, it works for us. Just because we are
Correct.
male, we are testosterone bags, doesn't mean we lack sensitivity. Society made us. Don't think that
No,
we are
but I
behaving
think
with the
men are more
society. And
sensitive. I feel it's my personal thing. Men are more sensitive towards everything. It's just that sensitivity is overtakes with their, preconceived thing that it's raised in them since from childhood. So as a future, parents, as a future, that is also our duty to make them understand it is okay to not to be okay. It is okay to express whatever you want to. It is okay. So I
yes,
guess we have just 3 minutes left. So that takes me to my last question, and it's very sad that we have to end this. But definitely, Gavin, we are going to catch up soon. So now finally, because this is your debuted film, this is your first film. So Gavin, can you discuss about any upcoming projects that you're thinking of or you're excited to explore in your future work?
I love the idea of communication without dialogues. I come from a field of improv. I love improv. Improv has got me through a lot of stuff where I don't have a ready script, but I end up creating scenes on the spot and conveying how the scene goes and support. The whole film is about the whole idea of improv is yes and like
Nice.
accept and support. So I want to use more non-verbal ideas.
Communications.
I've written a couple of scripts already. I have a film almost ready, at the verge of ready, and I love that idea. It's a film that is 3 years in the making, or the idea is 3 years in the making, and I hope someday, one day, when this film does well and people believe that okay, he can tell a story, then I would love to tell that story.
You will definitely, and the time will come soon because you believe in emotions and you showcase emotions and you do it with your complete heart out. And I guess people will definitely connect to a story which is coming through an heart and not just facade of few things. So thank you so much, Gavin, for sharing your insights and expression with us. It's been a pleasure learning about the creative journey behind Sunto and your perspective on men's emotional expression, and also it gave me chance to put my thoughts too. We wish
Thank
you
you.
a continued success in your filmmaking endeavors, and to your
Thank you.
to our audience, thank you for joining us today. And stay tuned for more conversation on this platform. And we will meet you soon, Gavin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.